Like I said, everybody's in here, man. We kind of got everybody filled out, man. The intro's dope, but man, we gotta start this episode off, man, with talking about one of Tupac's classic albums that actually inspired a new collection that's on 2Pac.com. We gotta talk about this joint, man. 2Pacalypse Now, the 91 album, man, from Tupac Shakur. This one was crazy. Trap, Brenda's Got a Baby, which is crazy, by the way, because you see what's going on now. Right now, it's so parallel. If my homies call, what's you guys' thoughts, man, on this project, man, that inspired the collection that we're going to end up talking about here in a minute?
Well, to me, I think it's like one of Tupac's most underrated albums that he has in his catalog, and I think it's mostly because it's kind of like it's more of a gritty style. It's not, people, when they associate Tupac, they think of All Eyes on Me, they think of Machiavelli, they think of Until Then Time and stuff like that. So it's really hard for newer fans to get introduced to the older, the younger Tupac, But for me, I really love the album because Tupac was very much, I don't want to say all over the place, but he'll talk about pregnancy, he'll talk about corruption, police brutality, oppression, and just straight tracks for his homies if my homies call, So and one of the key things about this album is it's probably the only album that Tupac released that didn't go platinum, and that's because they pulled the album off the shelf because it was too controversial. And this was all during the time when NWA had F the police and, all the politicians were going after Ice Cube and Dre. And then they went after Tupac because there was actually an incident with a person listening to Tupac's song Soldier Story that appears on 2Pacalypse Now. And he actually shot 2 state troopers. And that's why Dan Quayle and all these politicians, Bob Dole went after Tupac and removed this album from the shelf. So it's actually should have more sales than what it does. I'm actually thankful that Tupac didn't let that get to him. He's still, recording music, and Brenda's Got a Baby was still a massive hit despite all that, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And let's be clear, this was considered political rap back then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be clear.
Man. Political rap. This was definitely really almost like a bibliography, man, of a young black male of what really of the
like the first song.
Like the first song, bro. The first song, man. This is how black males sing the world and still see the world today.
Facts.
And it's funny that Skando said that this is probably the one that didn't go platinum, just happened to be the one that was one of the realest.
It sparked the whole situation. Let's be clear.
It came from the soul, man. We talk about the Lauryn Hills of the world dropping albums from the soul. This came from Tupac's heart. This is not only what he was going through, but also the way that he was raised. He was raised by them Panthers, man. So he already had this built up in him. Like this poetry that he had dropping on this one, he already had built up in him, man. And this was such a powerful album, and it didn't resonate with me until I got a little older, like in college, and I was really able to kind of grasp what he was saying. Because this ain't for the faint of heart. If you on that blue pill, you're not really going to be able to really take this one in, man. This was a hard hitting joint.
Absolutely.
And like Skando said, when they try to pin this on that kid shooting those 2 state troopers, they try their hardest to cancel him. I mean, they try their hardest. Remember, they had him on their talk show, and the lady was trying to grill him about his music. And Pac was just so poetic when he was kind of clapping back at Shorty. Respectfully and professionally. And the crowd ended up standing up and cheering for him because it was like, I can't hate on it because he was coming with data. He was coming with facts, man. So this album right here, man, to me, I agree with Skandalous. This is definitely his most underrated and should be one of his most celebrated because people don't understand how many people this album hit. Again, as a young black male at that time, he was speaking for all of us, and he was teaching us too.
Facts.
Don't get hoodwinked.
You brothers said it quite well. I mean, it was that socially conscious record, straight out the gate as a solo project from Tupac Shakur. I mean, heck, even when you look at the album cover, if I'm not mistaken, the letters had blue and red, which could symbolize the colors of this country of the U.S. and couple that with a commentary that you guys talked about that he expressed on this album, police brutality, racism, teen pregnancy, crime in the black community. and just issues like that of that ilk within the streets, along with the controversy of the state trooper that you guys mentioned. And I want to say Dan Quayle, at the vice president said, expressed criticism of it as well. It's no wonder why this album likely got less recognition, so to speak, than what it did. And this is coming right off of the heels of Tupac primarily being with the group Digital Underground. We shout out to them because they had some production on here.
Salute the show.
Yeah. Big D, The Impossible, of course, just several, a few to several other folks on here. But yeah, it's definitely an album that needs to be checked out. If you have not heard the earliest work of Tupac Shakur's solo album, because it is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal body of work that needs to be witnessed, listened to, and just absorbed into your eardrums.
And let it resonate too, because it hits today. Like what he
still does,
it's still relevant now more than ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Power 800 saying salute Shock G. Facts.
Absolutely.
And again, let's be clear. This is 91. This is before Biggie. This is before all the golden year of hip hop. This is high power right now. Let's be clear. Any final thoughts before we go into the collection? Scandalous.
Well, about the album in general, not everybody expected Tupac to come out of the gate with an album like this about police brutality and all the topics that he covered, because they seen him be a roadie for Digital Underground, dancing on stage and doing the track like same song. And this was around a time period that you had Can't Touch This and Ice Ice Baby, hit the chart. So, for Pac to come out there and do a record like this is very ballsy of him. We see everything that happened in the last 3 years, like songs like Trapped is more relevant now than ever. It's very underrated, and if you haven't listened to it because you're a Death Row fan, just peep the lyrics and you might see what Tupac was going for with this album.
Absolutely. To me, this is like the spark to the Death Row era of Pac. You know what I'm saying? Let's be clear, because again, a lot of people got caught up when he was in Rikers Island with the Dear Mamas and all that, but this was the Pac that was brewing inside, man, that we saw when he hit LA.